The very concept of Ark itself as a video game is quite eerie.
Oh, scary! Oh, shiver my timbers!
I mean, if you aren't already terrified of dinosaurs from the childhood trauma of Jurassic Park, then the very themes of Ark's dystopian wasteland maps always leave me with the slightest bit of discomfort while I play. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you all of the creepiest Easter eggs and discoveries you may or may not have come across during your survival journeys. These range from disturbing explorer notes all the way to horror abominations hidden deep within Ark's various maps that would have for sure scarred me for life if I had come across them normally. So without further ado, be sure to like, subscribe, and let's begin. At number 10, we have the buried Extinction City. With the implementation of Extinction Ascended, it brought us the long-awaited Earth wasteland map fit with domes, cities, and a massive crater. However, did you know if you go into GCM and fly past the salt lakes way outside the map, you'll notice something very eerie lying under the sand. Discovered by NanoStell on Twitter, this city can only be seen by flying this far out and disabling fog effects in the console. It is unknown why these patterns in the sand are even here, and if they even resemble any sort of civilization. For all we know, these could be some sort of mysterious alien patterns in the sand. But it certainly raises some questions, like why is it so far out of the map from the view of the players? Why is it in such an open bit of sand, and why the hell does photo mode re-enable fog effect? Nonetheless, this is quite mysterious and creepy, giving me Mount Chiliad Easter egg vibes, so that's why I'm putting it at number 10. Next, we're heading back to Evolved on the beloved map Fjordur. It's no surprise that the fantasy Norse mythology themed map would contain game and movie references within it, but this would put me at unease unknowing of what it means or why it's there. Found deep underneath the ocean at 51.9 lat and 16.8 long, you'll find a cave between the rocks leading to the very back of a large skeleton. Falling all the way along its spine, there lies a massive hidden skull representing what people believe is to be the World Serpent, which is essentially a massive sea monster in Norse mythology. This might not seem too displeasing to some, but for a guy like me with major thalassophobia, I'd be turning around effective immediately if I ever came across this. At number 8, we have the Snow Corpse. Now, this guy might actually be the first ever creepy-esque thing ever added to Ark. Well, apart from the original Argentavis model. Located up north on the island, heading into the cave underneath the blue obelisk in the snow, you'll find yourself walking down a corridor past these crystals. And as you walk past, you might notice this guy. Chilling on the ground, this is what seems to be the skeleton remains of a very Bob lookalike character who only made it so far through the cave. Although this is just another addition to one of many cave landmarks in Ark, this one just seems quite sad and terrible to me, as I kind of picture a lonely beach bob dying of hypothermia so close but so far from his destination, but that's why it's at number 8. Heading to Scorched Earth, if you go to this precise location on the map, you'll end up at these ruins at the edge of the desert. Heading inside, you'll make your way over to these stairs and make a right. Once you follow this hallway, you can eventually find this wall in which you can see through. Breaking the wall with a pickaxe, making your way down this small cave system, you'll eventually be met with a rock in which you can also break, leading into a room comprised of ancient wall markings, a large dinosaur skeleton accompanied by another skeleton human holding a spear in their hand. This is another Easter egg that raises more questions than answers. Feel free to correct me in the comments, but as far as I know, these skeletons have no resemblance to Scorched Earth lore in any way. Despite that, however, people believe these drawings on the walls could potentially be Ark 2 teasers, as they show symbols and gizmos we have yet to see. Other than that, these ritualistic drawings definitely put me at a sense of unease. This next one ties in closely with my previous video, where I explored, or attempted to explore, one of Ark's spin-off games, Ark Park. Now, unfortunately, due to slimy circumstances, I don't know anything about the overall story of this game, but if you watched my last video, you'd know that Wildcard essentially referenced this game, and the rest of which I played as a part of official Ark lore. Something I didn't mention about Ark Park is that it was actually teased all the way back in 2017 with the release of Aberration. On the map, you can find a graduation journal from a girl named Sky, which not only shows scribbles of the exact reference image to Ark Park, the note also reads as follows.
Far out. This place is kind of like that dream I had. So it went like this. I ride some tram thing to like the biggest, weirdest zoo in the universe, right? Only instead of normal animals, there's dinosaurs. Totally cool until they all escape, just like in every horror movie ever made. Duh. Anyways, Dreamy hops into a truck with some ripped badass dudes and we start driving around, shooting dinosaurs and stuff. I felt like a legit action hero, so I guess this place isn't exactly the same. There's dinosaurs, but I don't have guns or a truck. Also, I'm completely alone. But it's just a dream, right? I mean, obviously. I don't even know why I'm writing this down. It's all in my head. All I need to do is walk off that cliff and I'll wake up right before I hit the ground.
Now, if you know anything about Aberration lore, you'll know that every graduation student doesn't really have the happiest endings. And according to this note, it may seem like poor Sky met her demise thinking this was just another dream. Her backpack can also be located at the bottom of a cliff. The Genesis 2 Rockwell Prime fight, as laggy and cluttered as it is a pretty cool fight. Is it the best? I don't think so. But has anybody actually taken the time to properly look at these nodes that you need to destroy to progress through the fight? I bet you haven't. And this is what they look like. Rockwell could have been a more horrifying boss if he made more creatures like this. Anyways, I thought I'd include these xenomorph rake looking abominations into the list because I genuinely think these are the most terrifying looking creatures in the entire game, because they are genuinely barely visible through the 30 frames per second and 2,000 tentacles you need to fight. Heading into a lot darker territories on this list, next we have Nerva's Cannon Death, which has been declared by the Ark community as the most horrific moment in Ark's lore. I think. Trying to keep this video as monetizable as possible and without spoiling too much of the animated series, if not already. Essentially, him and Mei Yin have one last battle to the D word, where Nerva is essentially bested when Mei Yin stabs a console, teleporting Nerva onto none other than the surface of Aberration, where Nerva is essentially burnt to an absolute crisp. The only thing that remained of him was this. Certainly not the way I'd want to go out. Moving on to the long beloved and missed map Ragnarok. Right around the corner from Viking Bay, you'll find a small entrance into some ruins on this cliffside. Heading inside, you'll be greeted to one of the singular most gruesome spots in all of Ark maps. At the entrance, you'll find a poor fellow who just didn't make it out of whatever twisted dungeon this is, filled with many disfigured human remains stored inside of cages, who look oddly similar to Ice Cavemen. And, well, I don't really need to or think I can describe what this is that we're seeing here, but definitely not rated D for everyone. Probably not an all but uncommon thing to see a filleted man in a dinosaur game. This next on the list kind of hits harder than any of the rest, however, as it gives me that sort of 2013 haunted video creepypasta vibes. What if I told you that on Aberration, there have been multiple hearings of, and I quote, people talking, asking, let me in, and other mumblings. In 2018, user Pysmo created a thread on Survive the Ark expressing their concerns hearing these noises, and was wondering if anybody else had been having the same issue. This was followed up by some players saying that they've heard it as well, and others saying it's just somebody in game chat trolling them, or that it was all in their head. This was until Pysmo later posted a video where you can hear the following. The most disturbing part of this whole thing is that it was never solved as to why these noises were happening. Now, I've tried going to these places in the hopes to hear something similar, but after hours of listening, I couldn't hear anything. And sure, it could have just been somebody else drowning or playing jokes on poor old Pysmo here, but this isn't actually the first time people have captured strange, unfamiliar noises on Aberration, as there have been multiple more threads and videos published on the matter. After this video, it's going to be a lot harder to play solo on this map. And finally, the last thing we have is the Skeleton Abomination, which surprisingly enough is also located on Aberration. To find this, you're going to have to travel to this point on the map, where you'll need to find your way up to the top of this waterfall. Once you're up, you'll need to mine the stone against the wall in the corner here. This leads into a small crystal cave, which at first doesn't seem too out of the ordinary, until you head to the other side and mine this spot on the ground. Once the floor breaks, you can head down into more cave, which progressively starts filling up with bones. The further you head in, you'll be met with another small opening where at the end sits menacingly the most creepy and disturbing figure in all of Ark Survival. This multi-armed Game of Thrones abomination lays within this room of human remains, posing ominously to anybody who dares to enter. I don't know what twisted developer at Wildcard were thinking when they added this, but certainly as a post-pubescent adult man, I can safely say my jocks are soiled. Believe it or not, this guy isn't actually all that known in the Ark community, which is all the more terrifying with the small amount of players who know about this thing, stating that it could potentially be Rockwell himself in his early form of transformation. Either way, I'll never be playing on Aberration ever again. Anyways, those were Ark's creepiest secrets and Easter eggs. Comment down below which one you think was the scariest, and always remember, you're not safe anymore. You're not safe at any time you play this game.